As we sit in the eye of the storm in Europe, wealth managers seek sanctuary in continuing global uncertainty. We've come to Chepstow to shed light on this and find a little inspiration. Dr. Andrew Lilico kicked things off by looking close to home at the austerity pressures facing the Eurozone and suggested that countries should try to help themselves by offering collateral, primarily in the real asset, gold.
In the cases of Italy and Portugal, they have enough gold reserves that if they backed their bonds with gold, they would be able to cover 2 years of financing. One of the points of using your gold is that if you use it in advance of the crisis, of you defaulting, you're signalling that you're not intending to default. If you're Portugal and you're going to default, then what you'd rather do is keep the gold, and then after you default, then you've got some cash, you've got some way of getting hold of something.
Gold ultimately has been a store of wealth over the centuries, and ultimately it's something that governments can't devalue, and so in a sense ultimately it's going to have greater security than anything else.
I think gold and precious metal prices might be in for a period of further correction. So I think quite possibly get a rally, but I actually probably want to be a seller now into strength.
It's just not an option for us, I don't think. I think you can diversify away your risk more effectively in other areas.
Dr. Pippa Malmgren drew our focus to the unexpected positivity around the UK, as it stands out ahead of Switzerland, Luxembourg and the Cayman Islands for being an advantageous haven for emerging market monies.
Here, I have to say, what you charge for non-domiciles to be tax present in this environment, it's now the least expensive location. It's the most attractive place. Interestingly, it's not only in London. They are also aware that sooner or later, and probably it's sooner, we already know, if you're a nurse or a fireman, it's very, very difficult to live in central London. People are getting pushed. And this is one reason that you start to see sovereign wealth funds say, let's buy in Birmingham. And interestingly, Birmingham's going to build a new runway, and they will eventually have a direct flight to China. And when that happens, I guarantee you, we will be talking about suburbs of Birmingham rather than suburbs of London.
I'm not sure if people will move out of London as time moves on. I think a few years ago a lot of people would have thought that was going to be the natural progression, the natural way that things were going to go, but it hasn't happened.
I believe that the inflationary pressure on property in London, foreign investment coming in both in domestic property and in commercial property, will inevitably push some of the marginal businesses, individuals out of London.
Gavin Esler rounded things up by drawing on his experience of leadership and how people use stories to communicate.
The necessity to tell stories goes right back. It goes back to Moses, who didn't say, I've been wandering in the desert and I've got 10 rules we'll all live by. He said, I've been up a mountain and God himself has given me these things. That's a great story.
So although there appears to be increasing austerity pressures facing Europe, perhaps salvation isn't as far away as we think. We hope you've had a good couple of days with us here in Chepstow and that your time has proved to be enlightening.